after my dad passed, you fill some shoes. But then you start realizing that, you don't have to fill your dad's shoes. You have to fill your shoes for your family. You have to show up for your kids. He showed up for us. His dad didn't show up for us. He showed up for us. At the end of the day, yes, take care of your immediate family, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad. But if you have kids, your primary focus now is them because they have nobody else except you. So that's a really hard transition. Being in our positions, we're doing it all. We're gonna help you, we're gonna help you, we're gonna help everyone at the same time. Your time spread thin, your time allocations here, and here, but at least you're doing the best you can.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for today's episode of Disruptors. Today we have Omar Alfaro with 60-minute cash offer, and Omar flew in from Orange County to talk about how he went from serving tables to flipping hundreds of houses. Now guys, I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires. The information on this show alone is enough to help you become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you'll take consistent action, you will become one. If you get value out of today's show, please hit that subscribe button. That way we can tell YouTube to push our video to more people so we can create more millionaires. Ready?
Let's go.
All right. So first question is, what was your life like right before you got into real estate?
Well, just like a 22-year-old, 21-year-old, I've been a waiter at my parents' restaurant growing up since I was 12. And serving tables, dishwasher, cook, the whole 9 yards at my parents' restaurant. And once I kind of got an idea of what I wanted to do, I went to college, played some baseball, walked on a JC in Stockton, and then I realized that I didn't really want to go to school, and I left and went into the hospitality industry, which is the restaurant business. After that, I ended up moving back down from Stockton, and I helped my parents at the restaurant. I really just dialed in the craft of being a server and a bartender and helping my mom and dad. And then I was like, I really like this business. So then I decided to leave and move into an apartment down in San Bernardino. Then I ended up getting a job at Wolfgang Puck.
Oh.
From there, I transferred literally one day to the next. In a week, I decided to leave San Bernardino and go to Vegas as a 21-year-old guy, and I wanted a
You're
bartender.
a nomad. You just didn't care where.
Nope, that was it. And moved to Vegas for 2 years. But I realized something, Steve, that I didn't realize this, that I went to Vegas as a vacation, but I lived there. So most people go to Vegas and they end up leaving, right? But no, I ended up staying, but I ended up doing the things that people do on vacations. They drink, they party, they do the extra stuff.
Yeah.
And as a 21-year-old guy making, $1,000 a night as a bartender, blackjack tables there, roulette's there, everything's there. So
all of temptation.
yeah, and guess what? It got you. And then next thing you know, I'm like, hey, I got a problem. I'm spending, I wasn't making enough money per week to cover, because I was losing it at the tables, as a 21-year-old. Yeah. So I made the call to my family at 20, I think I was 23 at the time. I was like, hey, I need to move out of Vegas, because if I stay here, something bad's going to happen, because the trajectory, it was great. It was fun, phenomenal. But yeah, I ended up moving back to Apple Valley, moved in with my parents at 23. And waiting tables, and then one day,
Same restaurant,
Las Brisas restaurant. My dad opened it when he was 50, and with my mom and us, 3 kids, or their 3 kids, and yeah. So then after that, I was at a booth in my parents' restaurant when a good customer walks in and says, "Hey, you ever thought about selling houses?" And I said, you know what? Sure. I'm selling cell phones now to make more money at the end. And you remember the Nextel phones, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes. I had the biggest accounts in our area with the Nextel phones.
As a side hustle.
Yeah, as a side hustle. $100, $110 a cell phone. That's how much I'd be making every time I sold a phone. And I was like, this is perfect. So sold all the, banks' phones and the water companies and Edison and all the people that I knew from the restaurant. And he's like, hey, just get your license. I'll put you through school. And by the way, Steve, it was the snake pit. And I say this as a real estate, agent at the time. Um, it wasn't like it is today with all of the coaching and everything available at your discretion, right? It was not. It was a binder that you have to go through to look at the MLS. That's how long I've been licensed for, since 2002. So I he put me through school, and I was like, hey, let's. What do I do now? Gave me a phone book, and he said, start making some calls. I was like, what do I say? Just ask anyone if they want to buy or sell real estate. If they're looking to sell their home, if they're renters, just turn the page. I was like, okay. And literally, that's how it was. And primarily, I was
That's the training, though.
100%.
20 years ago.
Yes, it was. Here you go. 23 years old, passed the test the first try. And then the rest of the agents that were there, predominantly, it was an older generation type of real estate company, or not even company, just like the industry. It wasn't young at all. It was, Homer Simpson, The Simpsons with the green jacket that you get and all that stuff, or whatever color it was. But yeah, I was the youngest guy by at least 20 years, 25 years.
How'd that go?
I still got some scars on the back of, behind me. So those scars, people stabbing you in the back because you're the new guy, right? You're all excited. Hey, I got this client. They want to sell. And then here comes the vultures. Like, oh, they want to sell? Oh, yeah, well, I'll help you. This is what I'll do. Next thing you know, I get a small piece of the bigger commission that they received because they helped me.
So they got a larger cut.
Of course. Yeah, just for walking me through the process. Like, this is my client, though. Like, I made the connection and everything. You're just telling me what I need to sign. Because I didn't know how to fill out a contract. There was no classes for that.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So how long did you stay at that place?
I want to say 2 years.
2 years. Okay. And then, but at this point, you're done with serving in a restaurant.
No, I was still doing it.
So you're still serving the restaurant and you're operating as a realtor? Okay. So did things turn around in the realtor world?
No, not initially. Not at all.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I stayed waiting tables because that was my network. That was hey, if you guys want to buy or sell real estate, I would give my card to every single person who I'd give a bill, every single time. And I'd let them know,
You're
hey.
prospecting.
Of course. And at the time, I didn't know what prospecting was because there was no book. There was just, hey, it's a relationship business, so I'm going to give out my cards as to many people as possible. And at that time, I'd give them their bill, get them all liquored up with our badass Cadillac margaritas. And next thing you know, hey, Omar, I want to sell a house. I want to buy a house. And I dipped into the database that I've already created. People saw me grow up in that restaurant. So they already they knew me, they trusted me because I'd bring them their food.
Right.
So it kind of worked hand in hand. So I kept that going as long as I could. For sure.
So then when did things turn around in real estate?
I think I want to say in 2000. So 2002, 3, 4, 5. I was the most I ever made was $50K at the time, maybe 40,000 with commissions. But I'd say after I got the REO account when it crashed.
Got it.
That's kind of what
years later.
Many years later. Okay. 5 years later.
So REO account were really tough to come by. Yeah. Right. Like if you had an REO account, I won't say you're necessarily printing money, but you're doing pretty good at that time.
Right.
You have a couple hundred listings, right? And so
I didn't have a couple hundred, but less than that.
How did you come to get the REO account? Actually, let's take a step back.
Yeah.
For everyone, what is an REO account?
Perfect. It's a real estate owned where the bank took back the property because of the crash. Everybody lost their houses. They couldn't afford their mortgages anymore. And they literally just gave back the houses. People would walk away and say, screw it, I'm not paying a $400,000 mortgage when the house is only worth $100K. And they literally just walked away. Bank took the property back. That means they didn't perform on that note. And then now they had to sell the asset and they had to take the loss. And that they had to get us as realtors or agents to sell their assets in different counties.
Right. So an REO account for a realtor is basically a bank who is just giving you listings.
Yeah, or a servicing company.
Yeah. Right. Or a servicing company, right? Hey, Omar, I got another property. Hey, Omar, I got another property, right? So it's just this steady flow
of assignments. Perfect.
Right? Of property here, go work with this, go go check out this property. Hey, look, go list this property. Go list this property. And it sounds glorious, right? It's a lot of work.
A lot of work.
On the outside, it seemed glorious. I couldn't wait to get an REO account. And when I finally got an REO account, I was like, man, this is a lot of freaking work.
A lot.
All right.
You have to have a team.
Yeah. So how did you come to land your REO account?
As a matter of fact, there was this one, because this one lady walked into our office, and I don't remember her name. And I remember we were just still prospecting. We were doing our thing. It was like she walked in and she said, hey, have you guys ever tried, to log in to get BPOs, which is a broker price opinion? And the banks needed a value on some of these assets. You weren't guaranteed the listing at the end, but they wanted to know what the value was on these specific assets that they had to take back. And I signed up for about 5 or 6 different BPO accounts. And lo and behold, a couple asset managers called me. They said, hey, we got a couple of properties that you did the BPO on. Can you sell it for us? I said, sure, let's go.
Yeah.
And literally I signed up, and it was all free to sign up. And they started giving me 1, 2, and then I started selling the asset as fast as I could. And then they're like, hey, you're selling some property, so let's give you some more. And then they told their other asset manager friends. And then next thing you know, I had 5 or 6 asset managers giving me properties. And they told me to go to specific websites to upload my bio and all this other stuff so I can get approved.
Yeah.
And then I got approved. And, I think at one point we had about 40 to 50 listings. And it was nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, I think the highest I ever got was like total listings, like 50 something. REO, I want to say maybe like 30 something. And it became challenging. So before I talk about your experience there, I want to ask you, how many associations did you sign up for that were not your ethnicity?
Associations that I signed up for.
I'll give for example.
Yeah, tell me.
I was in NAREP,
Oh, yeah.
National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. I'm not very Hispanic.
Not at all, Steve.
No. I was in AREA, which makes sense, right? That was the Arizona Real Estate Agent Association. I was in NAREB, National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which was the African American one, but it's not, nowhere in the name does it say that.
Yeah.
But basically, and there was another one. There was another Hispanic one. I can't remember which one it was. But basically, like, you had to sign on all of them. Right?
You had to.
And then you had to identify, right? Are you, at this time, I think it was male, female, prefer not to disclose, right? And then there was, you can identify your sexual preference, which I thought was really weird.
You can. It was random.
Right? And then there was also like ethnicities, right? And it was like, well, at some point, if I don't get an account soon, I'm going to start identifying as whatever you need me to identify as.
Right.
Eventually, I did get an account, but those are the thoughts that go through your head. So going back to you, like,
I went into the NAREP, and then as well as all of the boards, extra boards that I needed to be a part of.
Right, everything to show that you're part of the community.
Yes, yes. And I did put on there, it's like, hey, I'm a minority, I'm a Mexican, so here you go. Give me some extra benefits and bonuses. Right. So I filled it out, and maybe I didn't get a couple accounts because of that, but it doesn't matter.
Well, so I remember when I got mine, they were like, basically, as long as you weren't a white male, you had a like legit shot.
Right.
That's when I got mine, right? So, and look, I didn't agree with it, but at the same time, I wanted my own REO accounts.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about your experience, right?
Yeah.
Because on the outside looking in, and these people might not be interested, I don't know, but if you guys were in the realtor world, you would totally like be interested in this part. What was it like? What was the experience of being an REO agent?
I'm filming this video for the man himself, Mr. Ian Ross. The guy crushes. The guy's the best person in sales I've ever seen. I've invested elsewhere and I haven't got the same results. I've gone from being a seller, making 5K a month, to being a hybrid role, making 11K a month, to now be 4 months down the line from 5K to on a closing opportunity, inbound, full calendar, with the best opportunity, the best offer in my space. OTE is around 20K a month from month 2. So I've gone from 5K to 20K. If that's not a return on your investment, I don't know what is, man. If you're a salesperson and you don't invest in sales training, you're gonna get left behind because your job is to be better at sales. And sales training directly makes you more money.
My name is Lance McCann. I have recently switched sessions with Ian Ross. Those conversations with Ian has made me $50,000 in the past 2 deals that I've had. I was able to renegotiate, go back and renegotiate the original purchase price on one deal, and I saved $40,000, and I got another $10,000 off my other deal. Let's call Ian, give him a chance. You won't regret it.
If you like what you just heard and you'd like to have similar types of results, similar success, text CLOSE, CLOSE, to 33777, and we'll see if you qualify to join Advanced Sales Mastery. We are taking people from good to great.
It was interesting because they didn't tell you when you signed up that you have to front the electricity, the gas, the water. You had to front everything to this property. In addition to if you went to go see the house to make sure the property was secured, people are living there. They didn't cover that. And then you had to knock on their door to let them know that, hey, the bank foreclosed on your home. What kind of emotion goes through somebody when you get some random stranger knocking on your door telling you you lost your damn house, and then I'm here because of the bank sent me? They were so pissed. So many people came out. Bats, screw you. This is what, I'm not leaving. I had to minimize or try to mitigate this situation. And then we started, offering cash for keys. That's where that term came from all of these, REOs. And we had to give people thousands of dollars to move out. And the banks didn't tell you to start off at 10K. They said 1,000. They said 2,000. Some banks said $500 to move out. It's like, no, like I wouldn't move out for $500. Where am I going to go? Where's my family going to go? But they didn't care. So that was the stressful part about it too. And then the managing of all of the utilities. And then you get bills that people leave on their air conditionings. And then I got $1,000 bills on empty houses, $700 bills for water that is just keep on flushing or because the toilets always ran. Pools that were all of a sudden filled because squatters would decide to go, fill up a pool that was empty. All kinds of things. And it was a headache. But
what were the worst stories you had in this experience?
Dogs. There was a property with a lot of dogs that were inside, and some of them were dead, and crap and piss everywhere, and it was just sad.
Yeah.
On that side of it, because they didn't do anything wrong. The family just left the dogs inside the house.
Right.
When they left, it's like so sad. That was one avenue that was pretty traumatizing. The other one was families with kids that are there, 3 or 4 kids, and they have no idea. And I think they just the owners themselves or the previous owners just didn't think that it was going to happen to them.
Right.
And that's the worst part because they're just being naive.
We deal with that with pre-foreclosures.
What's that?
We deal with that right now with pre-foreclosures.
Oh yeah.
Right. They're just compartmentalized. No, this isn't real.
No, it's not real. They didn't want to face it. And it's sad because they would tell their kids like, hey, it's okay. This is our house. Don't worry about it. He's just here taking pictures. It's like, oh my gosh, what do you do? It's just, it hits the heartstrings.
So
sure.
For me, I remember there was one property, dead cat in there. I didn't see the cat. That was just part of the cleanup. I remember having to evict the family right before Christmas. No, I'm sorry. Knock on the door in December and tell them on the 27th, you got to go. Right. So I remember vividly, as I'm opening the door, it's hitting the Christmas tree, right? The front door. It's hitting the Christmas tree, hitting the presents. You're sitting down at the sofa right in front of the tree. It's here's what's going on.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
And then the other one was, I remember it was a house where the wife was handicapped, right? They were an older couple. And I'm talking to the husband. I was like, here's the situation. We're talking about the cash for keys. Look, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. And all I could hear from the garage is just get over here so I can look at who I'm yelling at. I was like, all right. So you walk over there so she can yell at you for evicting her.
Right.
Because she got foreclosed on. Yeah. And then the thing for me was always it wasn't the fronting the utility bills. I just put all that stuff on a credit card.
For sure.
It was the incessant worry if I don't get reimbursed for this one, right? Because $400 here, $500 here. The worst one was $20,000, right?
Yeah.
Paying for a demolition. I had to pay for a demolition of unpermitted
Oh,
additions.
for sure. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, okay, that's 21,000 on a credit card. It's like, okay, I hope this one gets paid back because I'm going to have it's gonna be a rough conversation with my wife if I don't get reimbursed on this one.
And
Right. Because the commission is less than the 21,000.
oh, commissions were nothing. Think about it, guys. Like it's what 6% of in our market was 80,000 to 150K, or less than that. And we'll talk about it later about another one that I ended up purchasing. But it's what are you going to make? $2,000,
Yeah.
and that's if you got lucky and double ended the deal or something.
Yeah. So those are challenging things. So I was looking forward to it. And once I got it, I was like, man, this is a lot of freaking work. Now I don't, regret it. Like I'm glad I got it.
Yeah.
And the other thing too was, at that time before I got the account, I remember like REO agents were a bunch of like jerks. Like they didn't answer the phones or
They
nothing.
didn't know. Honestly, they did
So
not.
I always made a conscious decision. Like when I get my account, I'm going to answer every phone call, at least return the calls, so that I'm not like blacklisted or like when the market turns around. Because for whatever reason, it seemed like REO agents thought the dance of the party would never end.
Oh, tons of people did.
Right. You know how many people I saw that were REO agents that were like killing it, and then after the party ended, they're like struggling to get jobs.
Because they didn't do it right.
They didn't have character.
Nope.
So, all right. So then eventually,
Yeah.
you're done with REO.
Yeah, but before we go into the
Yeah.
being done with it, it's like you just mentioned about after the REO business was done, like what else did you do as the realtor or as the real estate agent after? Like you still have to go sell houses, you still have to go and create and supply create solutions for people.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing back then is before they made a clause that agents couldn't buy the houses because it wasn't in any document that we couldn't buy houses. So I ended up buying the houses that were assigned to me. Because no activity, you couldn't give houses away. And I remember this one specific house on Viento, which I still own today, and it was listed for like $80K. It had sold for $260, in 2007, and dropped to 80, and then got it dropped some more. I ended up buying that house for 40 grand. It had bees in it and all kind. It was weird. And literally, I bought that house, and I started, I can start buying the rest of them. So then I started buying a couple other ones. And then a couple of asset managers said, hey, Omar, are you buying these houses? Yeah, they're available. So why not? It's like if nobody else is trying to buy the houses that we're listing, like that's just because they didn't ask. I just submitted my paperwork like normal. You got to remember, all these asset managers had a ton of paperwork coming in from all these houses being sold. So they would see my LLC, my signature, along with me getting a commission on the deal itself. And they're like, hey, you can't do that. Then they had me sign a couple addendums. And so that kind of went away. And I think I messed it up for other people that were buying, they were trying to buy houses.
Yeah, certainly some rules changed.
Yeah, definitely. But before it did, I picked up a few properties at that time.
Oh,
So
that's
it was cool.
smart.
Yeah.
All right. So then eventually, the story or the music's over, party's over for REO, and then you had to become a realtor again.
Yeah, I was always a realtor.
I know, but you had to work with buyers and sellers again.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Because you're an REO agent. Like that's a full-time gig.
Full-time gig, and you just developed the relationships with the investors that were buying that properties.
Yeah. Oh, actually, the other thing too. I remember what was interesting when you're on the inside, asset managers. You think these are like Wall Street professionals,
No, they were not.
bankers,
Man. Nope.
right? No, they're just kids.
Yep.
They were like 25-year-old kids trying to hit bonuses so they can go out party with their friends.
That's it.
Like they're not these fancy bankers you think of.
No. Some of them acted like their crap didn't stink, though.
For sure. They were,
Yeah.
I mean, they got the godlike complex, which I get because they were deciding, all these realtors were begging.
Yes.
All these realtors are begging, kissing their feet and this and that, right? So I understand why they acted that way. But I just remember hanging out with them later on. Like, man, you're younger than me. You don't know what's going on in this world.
No, they were just there to do one job.
Yeah. So, all right. So then eventually you go back into wearing a traditional realtor hat,
Yep.
right? And then you get into coaching.
I did, yeah. After 2009, 2010, because that was still the properties were still kind of left over. There were still some selling that were REOs, 2010, 11-ish.
Yeah.
Because it that time was what, 2 years, 2.5 years, maybe 3 years of
Yeah.
just constant, deals. So yeah, 2010 ish.
Right. But then you signed up for a coaching program.
We did. Yeah.
What'd you sign up for?
Craig Proctor,
Craig Proctor.
CP. Yeah.
Right. So you and I were talking about that earlier.
Uh-huh.
So you got into Craig Proctor, and what did you take away from Craig Proctor?
The biggest takeaway from me from Craig Proctor was the USP,
Mm-hmm.
unique selling proposition,
Right.
and that so many people slept on it. So many people slept on it and they didn't allocate in their markets, and I did. And people were asking me what it's about, how does
Right.
it work, this, that, and the other. And for those of you that follow me already, you've seen it, and it's your home sold or I'll buy it for cash. It's been on my signs from day one, since I started, and I just started buying houses at the listing appointments instead of trying to sell them
Yeah.
for cheap.
Yeah. So that unique selling proposition is huge. So
Huge, yeah.
for those of you guys that are familiar with our coaching program, we have the scorched earth policy, right? And the scorched earth policy is, hey, make sure the investors you work with that buys your house, put $10,000 non-refundable earnest money deposit,
Right.
no due diligence period. Nobody's allowed to walk in the house afterwards, and they have proof of funds with their name on it, right? That's just a USP. It's all it is, a unique selling proposition, right? And then we have the other second part of our scorched earth was make sure the realtor will reduce their commission dollar for dollar.
Okay.
And if they can't sell it, that they'll buy it themselves.
Oh, that's good.
All right. So that's what
They
we
won't
have
buy it
as a
themselves.
scorched
but
earth,
Yeah.
right? And I talk about this, and people are like, "This is insane," but it's like, actually,
It's really not.
that was my marketing,
Uh-huh.
right? And when I sent out direct mail, it was your home sold guarantee I'll buy, or I'll sell you market for full asking price, or I'll pay the difference out of my pocket,
Right.
which is all Craig Proctor stuff.
All CP. and what's nuts, Steve, is that when that first came out, I took it and I ran with it. And then even my broker at the time, he'd put on his sign, but he would never want to buy the house.
He's afraid of it.
Yeah, it was only like the segue into let me list your property for 6%, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, let me buy it and go make $20,000 versus a $7,000 commission check or whatever it was. But in that, and then we also did the, your money back guarantee. So you buy any home through us, and if you're not satisfied with the next 18 months, we're going to sell it for free or buy it back from you. You think that I ever bought back another house? Never.
I never bought one house.
No, never bought one house on that buyer guarantee. Because then there was all these, there was tons of inventory, so we needed all these buyers. And I think one time I ended up selling the house for free, but I marketed it, I got buyer calls, and it paid for itself, so it was cool. Yeah.
But it's funny, like I did this. So my experience, so I want to say it was 2010 when I signed for Craig Proctor. And I was looking at Craig Proctor, I was like looking at Mike Ferris, looking at Brian Buffini, right? It's like, all right. And Russell Shaw, he's like, a big player in the Phoenix market. So I go out to lunch, like, here's the 3 options I'm looking at. Which one should I go with? It's like Craig Proctor. So okay, great. So I do Craig Proctor. And I remember I went to the first event, right? It was a 3-day event, I think, in Orange County, right? Anaheim.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there.
We're probably in the same room, bro.
Probably in the same room.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And this guy's talking about like, hey, you want to change your future, think about your kids. And the whole time I'm watching, I was like, okay, this is a great close. Like he's getting me like all emotional, right? And then they don't tell you the price on day one. They just say it's coming, right? But look around, everyone with the lanyards, with the black, right? Or the different ribbons,
Color. Yeah.
right? Just pay attention, talk to them, right? And I go, it's like, hey, you guys are in it? You guys like it? Like, yeah, okay, how much is it? Like, wow, you just have to wait. You just have to wait.
And they were all programmed.
They're all programmed.
Yeah.
Right? And so day 2, at the end, they hit you with the price. And I remember going, because I was there with my wife, and no kids yet. So I was there with my wife. We were staying at her cousin's place. And I'm just thinking, $1,000 a month. Like,
It's a lot, man.
that's a lot of money. I can't pay.
In 2010? Yeah.
I can't pay $1,000 a month for coaching. Like, this is
Insane.
crazy, right? I was like, should I do it? Should I talk to my wife about it? Then I think, well, if I tell my wife, she's gonna say no. I'm not gonna talk to my wife about it, right?
You just did it.
So I pull the trigger, right, on day 3, go in there, and now I'm just sweating bullets. I got to make this work. So I'm losing sleep before I pulled the trigger for $1,000 a month, which is wild,
Right.
right? But then after that, it's like I got to make this work. And I remember it was 6 months, right? Because they did 2 events a year in Anaheim. So it was Anaheim, Hollywood, Florida, Anaheim, Hollywood, Florida. So I go to the next one 6 months later, and I'm sitting at a table like a little bit bigger than this, and they're like, all right, we're going to break you guys up to groups of 6, 7, whatever. And you sit around the table and it was like, all right, what did you do the last 6 months? Right. And I guess naturally, like the leader, if there's not a leader around.
Of course. Yeah. You take the table.
Yeah.
for
You
sure.
just ask, right? I was like, okay, well, in the last 6 months, I've updated all my business cards, right? I've updated my website. I bought this domain. I created this ad.
Mhm.
I ran this advertisement inside the newspaper, right? Like I did all these things. I'm using the pitch, your home sold guarantee I buy the appointments, right? We're sending out the direct mail for all the canceled and expireds,
Right.
right? So I was like, all right, here's all I've done in the last 6 months. What'd you do? Nothing. It's like, okay, loser, whatever. All right. What'd you do? Nothing. It's like, okay, this is getting really weird. What'd you do? Nothing. Over here, what'd you do? And everyone, literally at my table, said they did nothing.
For
Right.
$1,000.
For $1,000 a month.
A
In
month.
my mind, I was like, you guys must be like California people. Like, you guys must be rich, right? Because I'm an Arizona boy. $1,000 a month is a lot of freaking money. How are you guys getting doing this? And I remember having that question. And then now that I'm on the coaching side, it's not that uncommon, unfortunately,
No, it's not.
that people that get into coaching that take all the information
They don't apply.
don't apply it. So it's nuts. But also, talk about the unique selling proposition. Now, when you're driving around, because what does it say on your billboard? Like when I'm driving around LA, driving around Orange County, what does it say for your company right now?
In our area, it just says your home sold or I'll buy it for cash.
Right. Now, every time you drive by a bus stop, every time you drive by, you see these stupid signs in the shopping carts.
Yeah. None of them say that.
What do they say? Number 1 realtor,
That's it.
right? Like there's nothing, and like how much does your heart break every time you see one of
It's
those?
like you guys are just not getting it. There's no catch. There's no unique selling proposition as to why someone needs to call you.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. We have 40,000 number 1 realtors in the Phoenix market.
40,000 number 1 realtors.
It's what it appears to be. They don't have any other claims,
No.
right? So you did the Proctor thing. So
Yeah, that was cool.
how much did it help you with the we'll buy your house cash?
Tremendously.
Mhm.
Because the minute I did it, people would always ask me, people would inquire.
Yeah.
And it's always the inquiry first. It's like, how does that work?
Mhm.
How does that work? And then to top it off, your home sold or I'll buy it for cash. I know it was guaranteed, but I dropped the
Mhm.
guaranteed and I created my own.
Sure.
But then it's like the move up was awesome. Buy this home and we'll buy yours.
Mhm.
That was the biggest one that
Yeah.
we added.
Mhm.
And that said, how does that work? It's like, well, we're going to secure that we're going to end up buying your house so you can buy this house that you truly want to move up to.
Right.
And they're like, really? And I did that, Steve,
Mhm.
so many times. I ended up getting them a solid offer on the other side so they can get this one. And guess what happened? I would double end this one. I'd end up double ending that one.
Mhm.
We make 4 sides on 2 transactions.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal at the time. So
Yeah, it
it
was.
was awesome.
And like some of the people don't know this, right? But like I got into wholesaling because of Craig Proctor,
See, that's so sick.
right? It's because I did your home sold guarantee, I'll buy it, and like, well, just buy my house now. I was like, no, that's not how this works. Listen, Omar, we got to list the house for 90 to 120 days.
Yes, it was.
And
Yep.
if it can't sell in 120 days,
Then
then I'll buy it. They're like, no, I want the cash offer now. It's like, no, you're not listening. This is how it works. Like, no, buy my cash now. It's like, buy my house now. It's like, but if I pay cash now, you're going to walk away with a lot less. They're like, that's okay. It's like, okay, I don't think you're understanding the math here.
we were trying to convince them to sell it traditionally. Yeah.
Right. And so, like, I had so many people like demand I buy the house cash. So, like, we're wholetailing. Thankfully, we could. And, like, look, I was buying them at 80%. I was overpaying for a cash offer. But we were paying 80%, and I'm making a little bit more than I would on a commission. Over here, I'm sitting pretty happy.
100%. Yeah.
And we just do it over and over again until we ran out of money.
Because we did, for
Right.
sure. Yeah.
Then we had to start wholesaling.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't take it to that step of wholesaling it like when that market turned or when I got into CP.
Mhm.
Just because, like you said, the mindset was still like, no, you're not getting it. You're leaving money on the table. Like it's a 90 to 120 days. Then we can buy it.
Mhm.
And then most people are like, oh, okay, fine. Here, I'll sign the listing for 6 months. Here you go.
Yeah.
It's like, what was I thinking of not buying more or wholesaling and making 20 or 30,000 every
Yeah.
property?
It would, it definitely was. I mean, like, I looked at all my marketing campaigns, and your home sold guaranteed was like by far the biggest.
Oh,
Yeah.
big time.
And then eventually, though, you moved away from Proctor, you did something else.
Yeah.
What else do you go after that?
The traditional route, I was introduced, and this was later on too, Steve. So once 2012-ish happened, 13, 14, 15, I think in 2015, I got introduced to Mike Ferry. So it was Craig Proctor from 2009, 10, 11. All right, and then I stopped, and I just did my own thing, and
It worked.
just
It worked too well.
it worked great.
Yeah, I actually quit twice. I think I quit the first time. I was like, man, this is working really good. I'm good. And then they wrote me back in. Actually, you're in Future Flipper. So you know Kristen Stampini?
Yeah, she was big.
Yeah.
In CP, she's a coach or something.
She was my coach. So she was on the
No way.
She was
She
on the
was?
She was the one that wrote me back in. They're like, hey, you left the family. Why don't you come back for a free event and whatever, right? And they signed me to Kristen. I'm sure of it.
Oh my
Right?
god!
And Kristen closed me and got me back into
Stampini.
CP.
Yep.
Yeah, Stampini. So like we always laugh. Like she was the one, like she remembers all her calls. She was like, Steve, you're the crazy one that, like you've got all these great ideas and you're doing all this stuff, but you're doing too many things. And you can't focus with anything. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, because we're always doing stuff. Yeah. That's cool.
All right. Okay, so you get into Mike Ferry
Yeah.
in 15,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, 15, 16, yeah.
Okay, so like that's a different, because
Totally
Proctor is
different.
just straight marketing.
Straight marketing to create the inventory coming in.
Yeah.
And at that time, you didn't really need extra technique. You just needed at the end of the day, now seeing this, sales and marketing. So that marketing helped with the sales, and the sales ended up helping with more marketing, et cetera,
Right.
et cetera. But before we get into the avenue of Mike Ferry, in 2012, 11, you start meeting investors that were buying these properties from me. And as the REO agent, and his name is John, I won't say his last name, but he would be buying these houses from me, and he would tell me to relist them. And he ended up flipping these houses, and I would see what he would do because I had the initial listing, and then
You know exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, how can Mr. John make this kind of money, and I'm only making X? And he would, get me down on the commission because he wanted to make more profit. And he was making $20,000 or $30,000 in 2012 selling these assets, and it's like when he was flipping them, and I'm like, well, that lasted for about 6 months of me seeing him do this. And then that's when I said, no, I'm flipping houses now. And that's when I got into flipping houses.
Oh, so that's when you started flipping.
2012. Yeah, 2011, 12, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me about how was that, starting?
It was the best thing ever because I would still have my pulse on the market, on the listing side, regular traditional buyers and sellers. And then I would buy some of the properties at the listing appointment still, and then I'd fix them. Then I'd flip them. I established crews. My first renter at the fourplex, I ended up buying in 2010 for $100K, which I still own today. My first renter, he is one of my main guys to this day. And I've seen him, his trajectory has been awesome.
Yeah.
He's been taking care of all my properties. He flips them all for us. And it's crazy
cool.
how that evolution happened. But yeah, that's when I got into the flipping game.
So how did you flip houses and still have the patience to work with regular home buyers and homeowners on their listings?
I wanted doors. So I wanted doors. I wanted to increase capital with commissions and profits and buy houses and buy doors for the cash flow. I had a couple clients that came into our restaurant, and his name is Mike. And he's like a second dad to me. He's taught me a lot. The first time I saw a platinum American Express card, and he told me that if you don't find a way to replace commission checks with profits, you're always going to have, your commission checks coming in, and which may not be that much. But if you replace them with profits or add profits, you're going to scale a lot quicker.
Yeah.
That's what we ended up doing.
Right. So going back to it, when you're making money from flipping, because like once I understood wholesaling, I had zero patience for a person that did not like the houses I was sending them to buy, or like
True.
Steve.
True.
this house has been in the market for 2 months and you've done nothing to sell it. Like, why aren't you selling? Or, Steve, I know you set the I know you set the neighborhood record for dollars per square foot, but it took too long to sell. And like after that, I was like, screw all this.
Done.
I'm just straight wholesaling moving forward. I don't have the time or the patience to be talked to this way when I can make way more with less effort over here. So that goes back to the question: if you were flipping, how did you continue working with like regular homeowners?
It was. I'm gonna say this: the flipping side of it was maybe 4 properties a year.
Okay,
It wasn't at scale.
got it.
Like we have now, because I had no team.
Mhm.
I didn't know what I didn't know. I mean, it was beige and brown theme. Now it's grays and whites, and now here comes, beige and brown again. But back then it was just 1 a quarter.
Got it.
1 a quarter added 30, 40K to the top line, as I saw it, plus my traditional real estate. So I managed okay
So
with
it was a side
1.
hustle.
It was a side hustle for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you come along and you sign up for Mike Ferry. So you got good at marketing, because that's what I look at. I look at Craig Proctor, the skill you got was marketing and building a team,
Yes.
right? And then Mike Ferry is like just straight cold calling.
Straight cold calling, man. And if you're not putting in those hours, you're not putting in those calls, and you mark them, and then you see who. Yes.
Yeah.
The whole sheet.
So So why did you join Mike Ferry?
To be honest, because of the company that I ended up joining. And that was the only reason.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up joining a brokerage where I thought was nice, and it was great. I learned a lot at this specific company. It was Intero Real Estate Services.
Oh yeah. You see him all over Southern California.
Yeah, at that time, not anymore,
Yeah.
because it's just in NorCal now. And I was attracted to them because they would always dress really nice. Okay, they would always wear shirts, ties, 3-piece suits. It had like the feel of like Beverly Hills, but in Southern California, Rancho, San Bernardino area. And I was like, I like I like this theme. It gets me accountable, because I didn't have a true like mentor, coach, someone next to me.
Oh yeah, you had someone throw a phone book at you.
That's it. And I had to learn it myself. So I saw this. I'm like, this is great. This is awesome. So with my work ethic and a little bit extra technique, I'm gonna crush it.
Yeah.
And we did.
Of course.
Jumped into that company, and everybody was trying to break this board. And this is a cool thing. We would put up people's names, right, that are in the company. And it was a blue square if you had it pending. It was a red square if you took a listing. And then it was a green square if you had it sold. So the whole progression. And I said to the team lead, I'm going to break that board with as many listings and sales and pendings you could ever see. And they all laughed. They said, no one's ever done it. I'm like, all right, well, it's perfect. I'm going to do it. And literally within a year of me being there, the new guy, I broke it with a badass team that we had, and we just knew about marketing and sales. And we broke it. And then people got pissed that I broke it, and people were trying to break it for the last 2 years. And it's probably because I did jump on with Mike Ferry. So I just knew the technique. That literally 1 minute listing presentation,
Right.
that I went to every single appointment. I said, thanks for having me over. I appreciate it. Go ahead, and I'm going to take some notes. Can you show me around? And we're going to sit at the table, and we're going to discuss, the price that you're going to get for your house. Every single time I'd say the same thing. And I set the intention as soon as I walked in, and they appreciated it because they want to be led. So why not lead them?
Right.
And I didn't know about exactly how to say that before, but after learning it with Mike Ferry, in addition to, the 4 personality types and everything else, it's like, oh, this is easy.
Right.
Analytical, driven, amiable, expressive. So yeah.
So 1 minute listing presentation.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, it was other stuff too. I mean, there was a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the cold calling,
But I'm saying the 1 minute listing presentation. Like, is that what you just did there? Or was that?
Yes. I mean, literally, that was it. I mean, did I butcher it? Maybe. But I put it to me.
But you broke the board with that.
100% I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to like you get really good at marketing, right? Which, for a lot of us, we talk about the journey. Step 1's marketing. Step 2 is sales.
Yep.
Step 3 is operations and leading an organization. And step 4 is finances.
Yep.
So you got the marketing figured out, and you got the prospecting figured out. And then the sales, obviously, when you get in there.
Yeah. Once you're there to close, yeah.
Just do this.
Yep.
It was done. Yeah, the one thing that I've said this before was when I joined Proctor was they were really good at marketing. Not so much at sales.
No, they get the people in the door.
They were so good at getting people in the door.
Yes.
But they didn't tell you how to close them. Well, they did tell you how to close them, but the way they told you how to close them was not the way to close them.
Yes, I didn't like.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it didn't work with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It didn't work with me.
And then, if everyone is talking, wondering where we're going with this, like for me, the reason why I'm going this direction is like, you go from server to flipping hundreds of houses, a lot of personal development's involved.
You have to.
Right. And so after this, you go to Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my buddy Adrian.
Yeah.
Told me
Who has
go.
been on the show before,
Yeah.
right? Adrian Hernandez. Right.
That's right. My boy.
Just a little bit smaller version of Tony Robbins.
Yeah, I can say that. Yeah.
Right. Just a little bit smaller version.
For sure.
Because I saw him speak at WealthCon.
Yeah, he did great.
I think I was on fire.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Ryan afterwards, or in the middle of it, like while Adrian was going, I was like, why did you put me up after him? Right? Like this guy.
Literally him and then you as analytical. Like it's okay.
Like, why would you put like this guy? I mean, I guess like just fire up the crowd so they can stay awake when I go. So you do the Tony Robbins thing with Adrian.
Yeah,
and
2018. 2018 was the first UPW. So Unleash the Power Within.
And then after that, you joined Future Flipper.
I did after 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So 3 years later.
So is Future Flipper then when flipping took off? Today's show is brought to you by MotivatedLeads.com. The problem today with many lead sources is that you have to pay for the lead even if it's not any good. So you might be a couple of $1,000s into the month on marketing spend without talking to a quality lead. And the reason why that happens is because Google, the TV station, and the post office can't say for sure which lead that calls you is a motivated seller and which ones aren't. You can't tell Google, hey, this lead isn't any good and I want my money back. With MotivatedLeads.com, the leads come to you and you can determine for yourself whether the lead is any good. And if it's already listed, a piece of land, a mobile home, or from a wholesaler, you can simply request a refund. One of my biggest pet peeves is when a wholesaler clicks on my PPC ad and asks if he can put me on his buyer's list. With Motivated Leads, you won't have to worry about that anymore. Go to MotivatedLeads.com, tell them Steve Trang sent you, and get a $300 credit today.
3 years later.
So is Future Flipper then when flipping took off?
You know what? I would say yes and no. I was low key in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16. The flipping side of it started, I created my own little sheet of like how easy it's going to be to flip this house. I wanted all of them the same. So I created just a little breakdown of like all my guys and I developed a team. I think one of the biggest years was 2014 or 15. We ended up doing like 20 or 22 flips that year. And I was like, okay, I got something. I could do something here.
Yeah.
And back then, I mean, we were doing decent, but our flips, Steve, were $15,000 to $30,000.
Yeah.
It wasn't like $100,000 rips every time that people talk about. That's probably lying to you. Because,
The social media ones.
Yes, the social media ones. Like how much of that is expenses and payback, so. But yeah, this was like legit details. But yeah, I mean, it definitely helped. I think with Future Flipper, it put me in another environment of other people because I didn't have that too often. CP wasn't. I didn't go. I went to one event. But everything else was just done on calls. Okay.
You lived right by where the events were.
Right, but I didn't have somebody else pushing me. I just got what I needed out of it and said, you know what, this is great. I'm gonna run with it. I'll create it.
And you could.
And I did it. Yeah. After that, it was Mike Ferry, and I went to all the retreats, and that was cool because then you start seeing people up on stage, and then you start understanding like, oh, I could be up there. That's no problem. Then it was TR. TR is a different ball game. That was more personal development as a person. And then, lo and behold, got a hold of Future Flipper and stuff.
Right.
Too.
So you started networking with the right people.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the power of networking.
I don't think no one's where they're at unless they network.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I should rephrase that. Like, if you want to go somewhere far, you need to get around the right people.
Yeah.
Like around yourself. You know, you had me on this. You're having me on the podcast. Appreciate that too.
Mm-hmm.
You got to qualify to be on this thing, so that's awesome.
Right.
As well as like being in the right rooms with the right people.
Yeah.
Because then they'll connect you to other people, and that's just something that I didn't do much of until later.
Right. And like for me, the things I've talked about, where I learned the most were the after hours, right? So I would go to these Craig Proctor conferences, and I was like, okay, that guy that's doing 300 houses a year,
What's he doing? Yeah.
What's he doing, right? And I talked to him like, hey, like where are you getting your data, or not your data, like which marketing is working best for you, right? Are you doing direct mail? Are you doing just sign writers? Like, are you doing newsletter? Like, what's working for you, right? And like, you came here today, you remarked like you liked how that we have that sign out there, right?
Details.
That's back from the Proctor days, right? For our VIP buyer program.
Dude, so many times, yeah.
Right? If I'm going to ask you to sign a buyer broker, which everyone's freaking out about right now, right?
Yes, we had to do that way before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Proctor had us train on that,
Yep.
right? And was like, if I'm going to ask you to sign a buyer broker
agreement,
I'm going to get a 3.5% commission, right? Then I need to give you the VIP experience. So from the moment you walk up, you see a sign with your name on it, right? I didn't go as far as some of the other guys like John Glush with Proctor stuff, but like they'd have like the picture of the buyer before they walked in. So the receptionist could say, Omar, welcome, right? And then come in and like have like so we have like the coffee and like the Arizona tea and the waters, right? In the green room.
right?
But they had like, like your favorite drink. Like they knew your drink before you came in. So like when you sat down.
You're like, wow, this is a touch.
Right. So,
yeah.
But like all that stuff came back.
It did.
From the Proctor days. Yeah. And then one last thing, I have a note here. So there was a very special conversation you had with your father about buying real estate.
Yeah.
Did you want to share some more about that?
Yeah. Bought my first house at 24, and not because I wanted to buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't. Just got licensed at 23, and then at 24, my dad said, "Hey, mijo, you have to, you got to figure out a way to buy real estate." And coming from my dad, we lost 2 houses, 3 houses. He did to start the restaurant, and I remember West 21st Street in San Bernardino. For you guys that know San Bernardino, it's not the best area at all. It was a cool cul-de-sac next to Home Depot. But we had the main house that we lived in, and then the 2 rentals across the street that he only owed like 30 grand on. And that was it. And we couldn't afford the mortgages. And because he opened up the restaurant, and he told me, he's like, "Hey, mijo, you're not going to do the same thing I did." And he forced me to buy that first house at 24. And still own it today. And yeah. So it's been
I have a lot more doors now.
Yeah, a lot more doors.
Yeah. Sure. So sage advice from Dad. So talk to me today, like flipping houses, like what does that look like today, right? Because you're flipping, you flipped hundreds of houses. All right, so let's talk about like the operations. You got 60-minute offer?
60-minute cash offer.
60-minute
That's
cash
our
offer.
wholesale company.
6-minute cash offer. So is that the first step to all the flips you do?
No.
All right. So let's talk about your flips, and then let's talk about 60-minute cash offer.
Yeah.
How are you flipping houses right now?
So the initial part was obviously I got my LLC, and then we obviously started trying to find the distressed sellers, trying to find sellers that want to sell quickly, Proctor days. And I just established a team, and I created, and it's been just an uphill battle, roller coaster of crews. But at one point we had 4 crews. We're down to 3. And now those 3 are just solid.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to do much anymore. Like there's houses I haven't even seen that we're flipping, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I go and see it when the staging's done. I'm like, this is great. Love it.
Yeah.
Good system. But it wasn't like that the whole time. But now it's a good process. We got 8 or 9 projects going now. We've done pretty well for this year, that we've closed.
So where? So step 1, right? So how are you sourcing the properties to flip?
It depends on location and where we're gonna get these people. Like, the list you're saying, or just the people in general?
Just in general, right? Because there's all different ways, right? Because you're known, You're a known commodity, known asset
Now, yeah.
inside your market,
Yeah.
right? So a majority of your flips are they
Referrals.
referrals from wholesalers, friends and family.
No, check this out. Referrals from clients that I represented as buyers or represented as sellers. I would always tell them, they'd always see my stuff. That I would always pitch them. If you know anybody that wants to sell quickly, let me know. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you.
Gotcha.
Primarily, this year, probably about 7 flips came from just relationships.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Gotcha.
From database that I've already, what do you call it?
Well, you've been managing for 20 plus years.
Yeah,
Right?
correct.
Right. And before we continue there, you mentioned earlier, and I don't know if this is right, you still use Follow Up Boss.
I use Follow Up Boss.
That's your CRM.
Right now, currently,
Yeah.
that's my CRM for Follow Up Boss. And that's like the newer, like something new over the last, I'm going to say, 4 years ish?
Yeah. And I bring this up because Follow Up Boss, I used to use it. It's simple, it's clean, and it
Simple.
works.
It just works.
Right? Whereas, people are looking at Podio, Salesforce. I heard someone yesterday saying they're switching to HubSpot. There's RE Simply. Like, there's nothing wrong with any of these CRMs. Like, they're good. But it's just fascinating. Like, you're running like a solid business
Yes.
and you're just using a simple CRM.
But I will tell you, it was an Excel spreadsheet before on the regular traditional side. I got Follow Up Boss for the traditional side of real estate.
Right.
Only traditional, dripping. We got 15,000 leads in there that just continue to get dripped. And, they cultivate. I got the team calling, and it's a good setup. I couldn't do it without JP, one of my main guys who's, handling it all. But as far as the wholesale side, we did use Podio. Okay. And then our wholesale side completely, we moved from Podio to RE Simply, and we love RE Simply on the wholesale side.
So you have 2 different CRMs.
That's
one
correct.
for traditional,
Yes.
one for wholesale.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. But you're sourcing these deals from your Follow Up Boss.
A lot of deals come from Follow Up Boss, the personal flips and buy and holds that I take down.
So it's fascinating. So you got that. All right. So then you take it down, you buy it, right? And from there, then you said 3 crews. So what's the process, right? Like, you talk to a homeowner.
Yep.
I'm gonna buy this house.
Yep.
Right. So you buy the house, they move out. What's the process to get the whole flip started?
As soon as they move out, somebody else puts up a lockbox. They know the process. My guys go over there. If we need to get a roll off or get the guys to empty out the house first, because most of the time the sellers leave everything.
Right.
I tell them to leave everything
Yeah.
because then we get a bigger discount. So the process is clean out the property. Then if they have questions about like the moving walls or opening up the kitchen or certain things, then they'll say, "Hey, I need you to come over here, walk it with me one time."
So you're the layout guy. You're the one
Yes.
that's looking at the floor plan. You're the one that has the vision
Yeah.
for the flip.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the first few times, obviously, I'm there making sure that everything's good, because a couple times that they've done a deal and it's like, "Dude, you were supposed to remove that wall. I didn't want this." And fine,
It's expensive to undo
yes,
or redo.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
So we end up selling it just as is.
Right. So you come in there, you lay the vision.
Yeah.
Vision's laid. How long from like the vision's laid to like everything getting done?
Now, I think with the guys that we have, start to finish, 3 to 5 weeks. So sometimes they've surprised me.
Yeah.
They get it done in 3 weeks.
Right. And then who's listing it?
I am.
You're the realtor.
Yeah.
All right. And then
Not under my own brokerage either, though. That's why.
how does that work?
I'm not the broker of record, I should say.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So, but you take care of you dealing with the buyer agents then?
No, that's my other team deals with it. Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. And then typically I see from flippers is like there's like 1, 2, or 3 different SKUs. Like, all right, this is an A house, this is a B house, this is a C house. What do you guys do? Same thing?
It depends on location. Yep, A, B, or C. Majority of the time, it's always B's and C's because that's the easy breezy, quick flip under the median home price. If my exit's under the median home price or right about the median home price, maybe flirting 20 or 30K. So our median home price is 400, 420 in our area. If we stay around that at the exit, they're gone. They're gone. We start going north of that, it takes a little bit longer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any nightmare stories in your flipping journey?
Yeah. Thinking that your flipping isn't going to come to an end and you have a good run of nothing but positives, you're profiting. Like anything that you freaking touch, you're turning to sold, right? Like that cliche saying.
You got that Midas touch.
Right. That's when you know that you're about to fuck up. Because it got to your head, you start investing in other markets that you don't really freaking know, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I went to Joshua Tree.
How far is that?
Joshua Tree is it's like Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree over there by Palm Springs.
It's almost middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere, okay?
Yeah.
But really nice stars at night.
I've heard it's great for like if you're gonna do shrooms. That's what I've heard.
Oh, yeah. I've not done shrooms, so I couldn't tell
Me
you.
neither. I'm just telling you, like I have friends like, hey, we went to go to Joshua Tree to do shrooms. Like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's a trip because, like...
No pun intended.
the market out there was phenomenal, but again, everything was great when it was a 3% interest rate. Everything. And then the Airbnb market after 2020 it went through the roof. Right? Because then we haven't talked about the Airbnb side of it. So everybody went out to Joshua Tree, desolate areas, to go and flip or go and buy and hold and do the whole Airbnb market. Well, I thought I would join the crew and do the same.
Get in on the excitement. Get in on the action.
Yes, and we did well for 2 times, and made $100 and some thousand on a piece of just a small little house. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to keep on doing this. And I did it again, and then the profit went down to like 50 or 60K. And then I lost $110 on one deal.
How much?
$110,000 on one transaction. I had to pay to close the transaction. Not 110 out of my pocket, but I had to pay another 30 or 40K out of my pocket, which equated to the $110,000 loss. And of course, I was just so pissed, and that was like a big, gut check.
Yeah.
And I would tell everybody, and I let everybody know, hey, I lost $110,000. Don't fucking do this. Don't get so confident that all your flips are going to do phenomenal. Stick to what you know in your area, and if you want to exceed your area, make sure that you're buying it so well that you can't lose.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to stay disciplined though, to buy it well when everyone's buying. That's the hardest part, right?
Yeah, when they're buying at 80%.
Yeah, you gotta compete.
Dude, no way.
But you also gotta be disciplined. What do you do? Because you can't be disciplined and compete.
No,
it's hard. Right?
You can, but because
it's harder.
Yeah, because you got to be okay with not getting the deal.
Right.
The best deal is the deal that you don't buy. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that was going outside your market was one of the big lessons.
Yeah.
Any other major lessons for everyone that's watching?
Partnerships, people that you bring in to your area and your knowledge, and they're not on the same page as you. You want to teach them, help them go through the process, and they may not have the same vision. They might just look at it and be like, oh, I could do this too. Cool. Well, then you end up finding out later that you help somebody make a bunch of money, and the next thing you know, they backdoor you, and then they talk shit. It's your fault. And it's like, dude, really? Okay. That's why partnerships are kind of tough.
Partnerships are really tough. I mean, even if you have the same exact core values, you have different visions, it doesn't work, right? If you want to,
say the same.
If you want to do $1 million a year in revenue, another guy wants to do $5 million a year in revenue, it's going to be very different, really fast. One person's gonna get really impatient, the other person's gonna get frustrated, right?
Because the person that's getting frustrated can't catch up.
Yeah, I mean, I can say for myself, where I struggled in a previous partnership was I wanted more profit to take home.
As all of us do, Steve.
It
All
would
of us.
appear. It
Right.
would appear.
Right.
Right. But that's kind of like
It's
how.
complacency, though. I could see that.
Yeah. Right. It's like, well, we're doing good enough. It's like,
But
Well-
good enough doesn't.
it's good enough. Or, and it's keeping up with the Joneses, right? So it's totally on me. Like, I see like all my friends, how they're doing. It's like, they
Why
don't
can't
know.
we?
They don't know more than us.
No.
They're just better operators than us.
That's it.
And we know what it takes to be as good operators. Why are we not doing that? And that was the incessant question that I kept asking. And then speaking of nightmares, I shared a video with you earlier today.
You did. You did.
That happened today.
Crazy. I still can't believe it.
So,
People do that. It reminds me of something that I would see as in REO days of
REO days for sure.
2009, 10, and we're seeing it right now in 2024.
yeah.
I'm just
So
tripping out.
we'll see. We'll figure out. You guys comment. If we have enough comments on this YouTube video, right?
Yeah,
If we get enough
you
comments.
will.
If you guys have enough, if we have enough people asking for it, we'll share it. I could not believe that happened today. Wow.
Yeah.
When you-
At lunch, Crazy.
And then you also have 60-minute cash offer. So you have the flipping side, you got the realtor side,
Yeah.
and then you got the wholesale side.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the wholesale side.
Well, before we get into that wholesale side, and just for context, the regular real estate business has always been great. Buying and selling or helping buyers and sellers. But then you take a back door, something has to give. So that kind of slowed down a little bit, and I increased more my flipping. But then I'm like, all this capital going out, tons of capital going out to fund all these flips, and then you can borrow, from other private, investors to cover this and that, and then it's like, why aren't we working smarter? And that's when we decided to create. First it was cash offer in 60 minutes, and then we rebranded and said 60-minute cash offer, which is a cool freaking brand.
You're almost like Domino's,
Yeah.
right? 30 minutes or less, or it's free.
Right.
Yeah.
But now everybody wants it faster than 60 minutes. So I'm sorry. If you guys want a freaking offer in 10 minutes, then I'll give you one, but you're not going to like the price. But so, yeah, that's our wholesale company. Myself, my brother, as the, operational person. So my operator. And then, we have JP, we have Isaac, we have a few cold callers, and we're on track. This is 2 years in the making. This year, we'll break over 7 figures, which is cool.
That's awesome.
We had crazy months, 2 crazy months of like 400 to 500K,
Awesome.
and I was like, dude, this is nuts. And it's just all about providing the solution for the seller, because we don't know until you dig deep and you find out what kind of person they are, like Ferry, the
Right.
4 personality types,
Yeah.
and just provide that solution. So yeah, with our 60-minute cash offer right now, we're trending for 1.4, 1.5.
Yeah. Is that where you're predominantly getting the leads? Because that's the brand, right? So they know the brand, but how are they finding out about the brand?
Well, cold callers
Mhm.
with the list that we have, and it's heavy. It's a process, guys. So anybody who wants to start wholesaling, be prepared to spend a lot of money in the very beginning to keep up with everything. If you don't have enough patience and you don't have enough resources to keep feeding the machine until it hits, then you're going to be out of the wholesale game quickly.
Yeah.
And you can relate. So it's cold calling, PPC, and just regular marketing.
And then you started doing billboards.
Yeah, so this is going to be a different. We did one billboard. Check this out. We did one billboard on a lot that I ended up buying. I bought this house with a lot that was existing from a referral, and I'm like, I get this extra lot plus the house. Okay, cool. And immediately I thought about, all right, I'm just going to sell the house, keep the lot for free. That's 60, 70K. So we ended up flipping the house. We made like 40 or 50. Nothing crazy. But the lot was in a great corner, and we put a big ass billboard that said 60-minute cash offer, my little face on it, and all these things. If you're going through a divorce, problem tenants, inheritance, all the BS, everything that people go through. I've gotten 2 calls, well, more calls, but 2 deals out of it. And those 2 deals were 80 grand. So that $1,000 investment on that little billboard paid us 80 times.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal. So then I said, it's like, why not do a bigger billboard? And F it, let's do it. So we're coming out with a new brand in addition to 60-minute cash offer. And you guys will see it soon. It's probably already up today. It's Sell to Omar. And don't fix your home. Sell it as is. Sell to Omar.com.
Yeah.
Pretty freaking rad.
Are you going
Looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah.
And you have to post it, obviously, all over your social media.
I'm going to everywhere. Yeah.
Going back to our USP earlier, are you going to put a USP in there?
I guess the USP that's there already is don't fix your home, sell it. Yeah, sell to Omar.com.
Yeah.
So sell it as is. Don't fix your home, sell it as is. That's it. That would technically be a unique selling proposition because you don't want people to fix their houses. You just want them to sell it as is.
Right.
That's it. It's
But
very
I'm thinking,
simple on the freeway, though.
I'm thinking something along the lines of like, the 60 minutes or the,
I could do that, yes.
I'm just curious, right? Because like the thing to get them to want to jump up and like
The hook.
yeah, right? Because it was like your home sold or I'll buy it. Your home sold or I'll get cash guarantee. What was it?
Your home sold or I'll buy it for cash.
Right. So that's just just kind of going through my mind.
Yeah.
And then along the way, you also started a title company,
Yes, it not a title company. It's
escrow company.
title is in Arizona.
Yeah, California's funny.
California has escrow and title.
Yeah.
Okay, so title company, Chicago First American, Ticor, all these title companies.
Right.
So you're technically paying double. So the seller and the buyer pay the title insurance on the property. And then the seller and buyer pay escrow fees.
Right.
In addition to the title fee. And yeah, I opened up an escrow company. Yeah,
Awesome.
about 2 years ago. Yeah.
Investor friendly escrow company. So
The investor-friendly escrow company, trustoneescrow.com. Check it out.
there you go, trustoneescrow.com. And thank you for clarifying that because in Arizona, title and escrow is the same company.
Yeah.
They're 2 different companies, but no one knows, right? Like, so let's see, I started my title company, I want to say 2017, right? And when I started the title company in 2017, I had no idea that title and escrow were 2 different companies.
Two different invoices. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because on the settlement statement, it just says escrow, escrow processing
Escrow
fee,
Yeah.
and then title and insurance,
Yeah.
right? But I never asked why they're 2 different fees. It was just the way it is because that's the way it is in Arizona,
Right.
right? And then we started a title company. It's like, okay, we'll handle the escrow and you're the title. It's like, what do you mean? Like, well, the escrow has to work with the title company. And it's like,
Correct.
what do you mean? And they had to break it down to me. So like I bought into a title insurance company, not exactly understanding nuance. Because for me, an escrow officer, because you always talk to the escrow officer.
Always.
You
You
never
don't never
talk
talk to title.
No one talks to the title
No.
officer, right? But I just assumed because there's always one company in Arizona or one brick and mortar location that would always have
How's
escrow
both? Yes.
and title.
Yes.
And yeah, because like it's funny, like Texas and California are the 2 states that are so like RESPA sensitive, right? Like the title company cannot take you to lunch or like they cannot provide value in any way. Like we talk about lead with value, lead with value, lead with value. Title companies in California, Texas cannot lead with value.
Nope.
That is a state crime.
You know what's crazy? It is. Like you yourself, as the escrow or title person, can't go take somebody out.
It's wild.
Well, but definitely a management company can.
So what does that mean? Management company.
The management company that houses multiple businesses. So the management company can go take.
So like the holdings company,
Correct.
like the one above.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I never got that far because I remember like, again, going back to REO days, right? So I was at REO, right, the Arizona Real Estate Agents Association. And I was talking to these people. I was like, Yeah, like have your title company because like from the Proctor days,
Back
just have the title
then,
company just split the marketing.
they did it all, man.
But they were like every time I talked to the title part, they're like, "Oh, we don't know." Like they're always terrified.
Wh- What's crazy back then?
Hmm.
Every title rep and or escrow would pay everything.
Hmm. Well, the official answer was they would do nothing.
Yeah. Well, until the RESPA came out and after the crash.
Yeah.
After the crash, they like locked down everything and started looking at everything and say, nope, no one's doing this, no one's doing this, no one's
And
doing
that I
that.
came along after the crash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so you got your hands full in a lot of different jars. So how do you stay focused?
That's a good question. How do we stay focused with all of it? There's one thing I'll tell you. There's multiple things I can tell you. But if there's something that comes across your desk and it needs to happen, just fucking take care of it right then and there.
Hmm.
Literally. And even though you might allocate, especially in the Mike Ferry days, no, you're going to put up a sign and say, no, do not disturb on prospecting.
Hmm.
And you're prospecting for 2 hours, outgoing calls only, nothing coming in. I guess you could take that as well if you're like I break down this. If I'm looking at all my investments and my flips that are going, I go through it and say, all right, and I don't have no other distraction. So I go through this, finish it with my assistant. Okay, you know what to do. All right, awesome. Then I'll switch gears into the wholesale side. If I have to go dispo 2 or 3 contracts, if I have to go make a couple offers, I mean, is it the best allocated time for me? No, but somebody has to do it
Hmm.
until I get somebody in the chair.
Right.
So it's really focusing on the tasks that are the most important, that are closest to the money. Closest to the money to me is what you have to do first and foremost,
Hmm.
period. Because without you creating that income coming in, you can't pay all your employees.
Yeah.
So you need to take care of that. And that goes for everything. For the escrow company, for the wholesale side, for the retail side, for my fix and flip business, and then not to mention, all the rentals that we manage. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
So I'm hearing some time blocking. I'm hearing prioritizing the activities.
Closest to the money.
Right.
Mm.
So you say closest to the money. What we've talked about in the past is income generating activities.
RPA, revenue
Right.
producing activities. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that what you mean by that? Or do you mean something else?
Okay, so let's say, for
because closest
instance,
to the money could be misconstrued as putting out a fire so the escrow closes today.
okay, that could be misconstrued that way too.
So I just wanted clarification.
I would say both, because if you're revenue producing activities,
Mhm.
revenue producing activities is getting on the phone with sellers.
Yeah.
Go and
that's the
send an
number one.
offer.
Yeah.
To go send an offer.
Mhm.
That's the lead flow that you need, the blood flow, as to say.
Absolutely.
Closest to the money is that, hey, you have these leads coming in, but you have a freaking big ass gouge in your leg that you got to fix before the more leads come in.
Mhm.
But you need the leads to come in so you don't freaking bleed out. You still have enough, blood coming through. Closest to the money, fix the shit so it can close. And then as all the leads come in, you can start, okay, now you're getting a little more healthier.
Got it.
So plug the holes, I should say,
The triage.
100%.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does your business look like today versus when you first started?
When I first started, I was by myself. I was the TC. I was everything. I didn't even know what the hell a TC was at that time, because our disclosures were carbon copies and all that good stuff.
Man, you were in the carbon copy days.
Yeah, I was. The three pink,
it?
yellow, and white.
I was press hard. There's 4 copies.
True. How it looks like today? Yeah. Well, we have a TC. I have an assistant. I have callers. We have runners now to put up boxes, take photos, do keys. I got guys that'll go fix the property, stagers. Yeah, it looks a lot different on the retail side.
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as like the newest company on the wholesale side is, obviously our acquisitions, our COO, a few cold callers, lead manager to funnel all the leads, then set the appointments.
You know, I'm realizing right now, everyone that's watching this that comes from the Instagram era, because we came from
Regular, like
maybe
no
Rich Dad,
social.
Poor Dad or whatever era.
That's it.
Right? All our people that came from the Instagram era probably have no idea what we're talking about when we say press hard. There's 4 copies.
They don't. Our purchase agreement, guys, our listing agreement was 4 copies, 5 pages long. That was it. Maybe no, it was like 3 pages when I first started. To list anything was 3 pages.
Copy for you, copy for me, copy for my broker. I don't remember what the 4th one was for.
Copy for maybe the file. I don't remember.
I don't know. I just remember there was always 4 copies.
Yeah, press hard, like you said, 4 copies. Yeah.
And then, one thing we didn't touch on, but like the thing that probably what helped me the most from the REO days was learning to manage a team. Right. Having an admin, like evicting people sucked, right?
Dude.
Driving by the properties to take photos sucked.
BPOs, yeah.
Right? So I had my guy Rick, and Rick became my evicting guy and then the property check guy, right? And it wasn't just me. He had multiple REO agents, right? But hey, Rick, I got a new listing. Can you go knock on this door? And he's asked, like, is this Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or Fannie Mae? Because they had different signs.
Right.
And so he'd have the ones in his car, and he'd just go up, he just tape it to the door, take a picture,
So awesome.
send it to me,
Yep.
right? And then
Upload it to the dashboard.
yeah, right. Go to Equator, upload it,
Oh yeah, Equator.
right? And so there was that, but then also like he was the one that had to talk to them, and he was the one that would do the property check every other week, take a photo every bedroom, label the photos correctly, so I can go upload it, right? And then someone else to make sure the invoicing was done right. Because again, that one thing I was worried about was getting reimbursed.
Yep.
Right? And so like having someone in these different seats was required if you're managing multiple properties.
Required.
Right? So in 2009, I started in 2007 as a complete knucklehead. Right? I just did everything myself. But once I got an REO, I was like, I have to hire this person. I have to hire the person.
You were forced to do it quickly.
You didn't have a choice. Yeah.
If you wanted to succeed, no.
Right. So that experience carried on really well. What does your life look like today? You spent countless weeks going back and forth with a homeowner only to lose a deal because the seller changed their mind, another wholesaler made an unreasonable offer, or what the seller needs from the sale, you just can't pay. Now imagine you've got the ultimate control on a property that you just locked up, meaning you're on title and every decision has to go through you, eliminating virtually every external threat. That's why the installment method was created. Through installment payments, you have full control of the property as your name is now on the title. Any decision the seller wants to make now has to be approved by you. No longer can they pull out equity, go with another buyer, or change their mind. Imagine combining the best of creative finance with the flexibility of marketing the property on the MLS to collect the most amount of revenue possible, all while having total control of the property. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The concept here is simple, but implementing is challenging. So visit wholesale2024.com to learn more so that you'll never have another deal blow up. So that experience carried on really well. What does your life look like today?
Well, today, I'm 45 years old. I have a beautiful family. I have a 17-year-old daughter that just went into college at Vanguard in Costa Mesa, hence why we moved to Orange County. And my beautiful lady, Alyssa, our 4-year-old daughter, Gianna, our 2-year-old daughter, Mila, and then our 6-month-old son, finally got the boy, Luciano Gustavo, after my dad.
Awesome. Very cool.
So it's cool, man.
What freedom does real estate afford you?
Freedom that real estate gives me. Is it really freedom? Because we're on our phone all the time. But yeah, as far as financially, it's been awesome. It's been a godsend to be able to make decisions, put her in college, put my oldest daughter in college, have the extra resources to help family, to be able to move like we've done, and to truly live off of the passive income that I've created from all the rentals. Like it covers all of our bills. It's like, so anything else that we make is profitable and we can go reinvest it. So if anyone's out there wondering, like, does it create cash flow? Does it create freedom? It does, but it takes a really long time. It's not tomorrow. And you get lucky and wholesale. Like if I did it all over again, I'd wholesale from day one. Just it's easier. And buying assets early on and knowing that you're going to hold them for a while, especially in California, or anywhere you're at. I mean, it's all about the cash flow. So it's been awesome. I'm not gonna lie. It's a crazy ass roller coaster though.
So could you stop working today if you wanted to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Do I want to? Heck no. What am I gonna do? Like honestly, like and I thought about it, and I tell my lady this is like, do we just sell it and just live off of like a few properties that we have that are paid off, that we have the cash flow, and it's like, but the thing is like there's another level. Like we just talked about it before, like your $1 million goal to a $5 million goal. So if I want to get to $20 million a year, I'm not retiring. No, you just got to evolve. You got to start being creative. You got to buy back your time. And that's one book by Dan Martell that I've read like 5 times at least and listened to it like profusely on Audible to just instill it in my brain is buying back your time. Because what's the point of working all this stuff if you can't delegate and you can't literally buy back your time to do everything? The minute you do that, everything else will make sense, and you'll be like, oh shit, what do I do? You'll start understanding. You said it yourself earlier at lunch that you're starting to be more strategic and you start thinking clearly when you don't have other crap in your brain.
Right. When you don't have a fire around you.
Yes. And what are fires? All the flips that we have or the listings that we take, and now we can be more strategic and creative. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
What would you do if money was no object?
If money was no object, I'd be the biggest hard money lender there is in all of the nation.
Yeah.
For sure.
What does hard money go for in California, in Orange County?
It goes, a point, 2 points per deal, plus, 12, 15%, depending, credit wise, 20% down, 10% down, depending, I mean, I borrow at 90% with 1 point and $1,000 processing fee.
Yeah.
But Jesus, like it's one of these things where if money was no object, I'd definitely go buy every single hard money lender there is and buy their book of business and now create it. Now you're making phenomenal money.
Yeah, they're a lot better than CDs or S&P.
Oh my gosh, all day. Like it'll trump it. For the long term, obviously, set it and forget it. But are you really setting it and forgetting it? No, you're setting it and you're like navigating it. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, that's the dream, right? Is like you kind of go through these different iterations, right? Like first I'm going to buy some properties and I'm going to work it up. Then it's like I'm going to turn it into a commercial property. It's like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. Then it's like, well, maybe I'll do multifamily.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like hard money, man. Like that is a money printing machine, especially transactional funding.
Oh, transactional funding, you can charge just retarded. I've done a couple of transactional fundings with some of the funds, and it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
That, and you know what? I don't mind this. Super passive, but a couple notes I've taken. I got some properties out there that I'm carrying notes on, and they're not 7 or 8%. They're 12.
Yeah.
So 1% a month. That's just something that you just have to think about. 1% a month. You lend out $600,000, you're getting $6,000 a month.
Yeah. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
What's your epic life goal?
Honestly, to be, I guess I could say, to be satisfied, right? But we're never satisfied because we're always, I'm not going to say we're always chasing, but we're always trying to become the better version of ourselves.
Right.
Another year from now, 2 years from now,
It's a
3 years
never-ending
from
journey.
now. Never-ending journey, because I feel like if you stop, then what is it to chase? Okay. Do you want to get better? I mean, to me, the goal is to continuously improve, but bring the people with me to improve, not just solo. You don't want to be up at the top of the mountain by yourself.
No, absolutely not.
You want to bring the people with you. You want to bring even to my tenants that have become friends, family. My first renter, like I said, like I see him growing, sold him a property. I'm seeing him like become an investor.
Yeah.
Now.
It's incredibly rewarding.
Oh, 100%. I mean, my brother, my sister, to see her grow, to see my brother grow, and actually start understanding the game. Even to our videographer Bobby. Bobby's here, and he's like, he's learning all this stuff. So you want to bring everybody with you.
Well, I love that part you're talking about with your brother and your sister, because that goes back to what your dad told you, right? So like you're not just doing it for yourself now to satisfy your dad's wishes, but you're also doing it for your brother and sister.
Yeah, and honestly, like and I'm gonna tell you this, guys, your family is super important. As much as you probably have a great relationship with them, or you don't have a relationship with them, because I know a lot of people with families that are all fucked up, and we're all fucked up in some sort of way. But at the end of the day, it's like they're still your brother, still your sister. You still want to make you want to make them. You want to see what's possible for them. You want to pressure them. You want to push them. And take care of your mom, take care of your dad, providing you still have your mom and dad. So that's the hardest part, though. I'll tell you that, Steve. Like the after my dad passed, you fill some shoes, but then you start realizing that you don't have to fill your dad's shoes.
Right.
You have to fill your shoes for your family. You have to show up for your kids, because he showed up for us, right? His dad didn't show up for us. That makes sense. He showed up for us. So at the end of the day, yes, take care of your immediate family, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad. But if you have kids, your primary focus now is them.
Right.
Because they have nobody else except you. So that's a really hard transition. You lose a parent, and you still have one of the parents there, my mom. And it's like, okay, you get, it's a decision you got to make.
Right.
And of course, being in our positions, we're doing it all. Fuck it, let's go. We're gonna help you. We're gonna help you. We're gonna help everyone at the same time. Your time spread thin. Your time and allocations here, and here. But at least you're doing the best you can.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
What is your biggest struggle today?
Again, biggest struggle is, this is a big one I think everybody faces. Are we enough? Are we enough to truly get to that next level?
Yeah.
Our own, we are our own worst enemy when it comes to creating, like, am I really the $20 million a year guy? Can I be? Yeah, sure. But we can say it to ourselves, right? But getting there is a fucking journey that we have not been through yet.
Yeah. It's the biggest mental game.
Yes.
Right. Like, before we got into this, we would wish we had the life we have today. Right.
So true. Like, other people would die to be in our shoes.
But there are some days we wake up and like, man, why is this so hard? Right? Like, you might think like, man, screw it. Like, I'm just gonna burn it all, start over by myself.
Do you know how many times I've said that? Like, screw this shit, I'm done. Selling it all. I tell them, I'm done. Selling it, have one house paid for, fucking tons of money in the bank.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then what? Exactly. Right. But that's the struggle, right? Like, do we have enough? Do we have enough? Do we know enough? Do we know enough people? Do we have the tools, the resources? Because, like,
do we have enough faith in us too?
Yeah.
Like, that's the other part.
Right? Like, we think, like, could we make $1 million this year net? Right?
Sure. Yeah.
You talk to Elon Musk. He's not asking himself that question.
Oh my gosh.
Can I clear $1 million net this year?
How about $1 million a day or every half an hour? Right? Yeah.
Right? So, like, the question really comes down to, what are we capable of?
Right.
Yeah.
And what do we believe that we're capable of too?
Because that's what really determines everything else. Yeah.
It does. It's like what your mind can conceive, it can achieve, right? So if you can conceive it, right, thinking about it, sure, it could be achieved, but it's easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
We still have to go through that process, man.
It's the hardest thing. I mean, I've been working on it, and I've said this on the show, like the last few episodes, like, if you talked to me like 20 years ago, talking about mindsets, like this mindset stuff, like, I got it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the last thing I got to worry about.
No, true that.
Right?
No, we were cocky for sure.
Right.
Like, no, I got this. Just give it to me. I'll do it.
But now where we are in the journey is like, man, like, this is like as far as we can go. This is the best we know. We're doing the best we can as far as we can go with everything we know. So now we got to figure out how to get out of our way even more.
Right.
to raise the bar.
Dang, dude. Yeah, it gives me the chills
Yeah.
because it's that uncharted waters that we can still see it way out there,
Mhm.
but we're not there yet.
Yeah. My coach says, go as far as you can see,
Mhm.
and then you can go from there. Right.
Yeah, because you keep chasing. You keep
Mhm.
like, okay, I can still see some more. I can still see some
Mhm.
more. That's actually a good one. Repeat that again.
Go as far as you can see, and then you know where to go from there.
Oh, see, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
How do you measure success?
You know what? That's a great question. Forget about the finances.
Mhm.
Is how your kids see you,
Yeah.
how your kids see you, how your family sees you, how you show up for everyone else. Like Jim Rohn said it, service to many leads to greatness. And I think the more you serve, the more great you become.
Yeah.
The money is just going to be the byproduct of you becoming better
Mm-hmm.
for everyone else. But then I also see it like, okay, you put everybody else first. What about you?
Right.
They do say that you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're able to show up for your kid if something were to happen on a plane.
Right.
And, I definitely would measure it by the impact that you have on your immediate family, by being home, by showing them the example of what you've done. And hopefully it inspires them and, they choose their path, but at least you inspired them to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your superpower?
Finding solutions.
Yeah. Can you give an example?
Early on, it's like a puzzle. Like I see transactions as puzzles.
Mhm.
And when you get good at putting puzzles together, you can try to figure out different avenues. And it's paid me the most. It's given me the most feedback from sellers.
Mhm.
And that's, if someone's faced with foreclosure and they need a little bit of extra money and they need this, they need that, they don't really care about their credit. Obviously, this whole sub two aspect that came about. And I was doing sub two before I even knew Pace Morby.
Right.
Like I still have properties in the portfolio from sub two because I like, hey, if there's a due on sale clause, cool. So to answer your question about the example, is just figuring out the best scenario for an issue
Mhm.
and finding the solution somehow, whether it's going to be listing it, buying it, wrapping it, lending money, however we could figure out that deal to get them to their next destination and they're super happy about it,
Mhm.
that's a win.
Yeah. That's my favorite part.
Favorite part.
Right. Coming up with like, all right, here's
The deal, man.
here's how you do it. Here's how we structure it where you win, we win, everybody's happy. Yeah. It's addicting.
It is, and that's funny. You bring out the remarkable, and I have it too. And I
Mhm.
bring it to the appointments, and I'm breaking it down. I'm saying, hey, this is exactly how your setup is.
Mhm.
Here you go.
Right.
Same with when I'm borrowing money from private individuals. Today, as a matter of fact, I got a text saying that they wired $250,000 to go buy the next 3 properties. So
Yeah.
none of my money,
Mhm.
and it's because of the remarkable. I broke it down to their money sitting there and it's not doing anything, and I can offer you this much money, and here you go. There it is.
Yeah. Well, it's great.
It's literally bringing the solution to them.
And it's what we get paid for. It's what we get
We
paid
do.
well for.
Yep.
What is your biggest regret?
I say this a lot, not putting myself in environments sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like the lone guy. We
Right.
can do it ourselves. Fuck it. I'm going to do it myself. My dad did it himself. He did it. The Mexican trait in us is just getting it done. We're hard workers,
Mhm.
but we're laboring hard workers versus delegating hard workers. Big difference.
Yeah.
And the biggest regret is not getting in rooms that stretch me early on in my career.
Mhm.
That is I would say, the biggest regret for me.
I've heard people describe it as the machoism.
Oh yeah, for
Right?
sure.
It's like I'm the
I'm
big
the
boss.
Mexican tough guy.
Yeah.
Give it to me. Let's go. I'll do
Right.
it.
Yeah, because that goes back to the question I was asking you earlier. It's like, dude, like Greg Proctor was in your backyard. Like I had to fly or drive, convince my wife to let me stay in a hotel for a couple nights. Right.
The macho guy that's Mexican, and I just took the, your home sold guaranteed or I'll buy it for cash.
Mhm.
I just ran with it and said, why am I going to go?
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the one, should have went to two, but that was it. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to execute as fast as possible before somebody else does.
Right.
And I jumped in it. Could I have been in those environments? Could I have made other connections, Steve? Yes. But I chose not to. I just chose to work.
You could have been hanging out with me and Kristen.
Oh, dude, back then, that'd been cool.
And then what book have you gifted more than any other?
Buy Back Your Time.
Buy Back Your Time.
Oh.
Yeah. Supposed to have him come back out here. So he was supposed to record a podcast. There was a mix up. So I'm waiting for him to come back out here. So Danny, if you're watching, still want to have you back on the show.
Badass book too.
Yeah.
I mean,
great book.
Yes. And I'll be coming to you probably for the coaching side of it, because the guy's on another level.
Oh, he is.
He's on another level, and I listen to him all the time, and it's just like, damn.
Yeah.
Just, especially his story.
Yeah, I had someone on the. We do our regular client calls with our existing clients, and like one-on-one calls, and they're like, who are you learning from that I should learn from? Like, who is someone you were impressed with that you met recently? I was like, kind of went through the list, like, and I mentioned like, oh yeah, Dan Martell. He's like, who's that? Who's that? I was like, oh, he wrote the book Buy Back Your Time. Got this SaaS thing. He sold his company for multiple times, exits.
Yeah.
Like the guy knows what it's like to build a business that's sellable.
Like scalable and sellable. Yes.
Yeah, right. So yeah, definitely recommend Dan Martell. All right, I want you to think about last thought I want you to think about some last thoughts while I leave a quick message. Guys, if you get value today, please hit that subscribe button. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Do not keep us a secret. We genuinely want to create more millionaires. Help us accomplish that mission, please. What are some last thoughts you want to leave all the listeners with?
Guys, you guys are listening to this podcast, and, appreciate the time, Steve. Thank you. There's a lot of things that you can get from it in regards to, how you're starting now isn't your destination later, or how you started now isn't going to be your ending either. I'd say get yourself in rooms as fast as possible. Ask more questions. Humble yourself too, because that's one thing that I'll share with you is that if you think that you know it, you've already lost. That's one thing that I'm 22, 23 years in this business, and I know people that are only been in the business for 5 to 10 years doing triple the amount that I've done in my tenure. So that comes with some humbling, experiences, and be like, damn, like if this guy can do it, this is why I truly think that if you guys are out there and you're wondering, like, what's the next step, go to the person that you want to truly model after, or go to somebody that has this success. And I'm not going to say ask them to shadow you, but pay for the course that they have, pay for their time. Don't think about it being free, because nothing is free. Otherwise, you'd be all over YouTube and figuring it out, and you'd be a millionaire already. So if that's not you, then, truly need to understand that pay for someone's time. Like, you have to, because that is the quickest way to avoid failures, avoid issues that you are going to inevitably go through. But if you can cut the curve, then why not? Honestly, there's so much to give, Steve. You've given so much, through the years of sales training and just your word and your advice and the way your brain thinks, that just being part of a community would help out your mental state for sure. And we talked about the whole mindset aspect of it. And, if you work on yourself consistently, there's something I'll leave you with, is that you could never, I'm going to butcher it, but I hope I don't. You can never out self-develop yourself. So you can go make a bunch of money, you can go do this, but you are always in constant pursuit of becoming better, becoming more self-developed in yourself, whether it's in a relationship, business, leadership, these people that we're talking about, the people that Steve also has on this podcast, are just phenomenal brains that you can model and you can pick after. And, hopefully it helps you along that journey of whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, we chose real estate, so that's what we talk about all the time. So, yeah.
Great message. If someone wanted to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Guys, follow me on IG at Invest with Omar. You'll probably see 2 accounts. One is the Omar Alfaro, which I don't truly use, but you'll see it. But the main one is at Invest with Omar, or go to my YouTube at Omar Alfaro.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you
Steve?
so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you guys for watching.
Shout
See
out
you
to
guys next
Steve
time.
Trang. Jump on the Steve Train. Disruptors.